Most people think dangerous people look dangerous. But the truly terrifying ones usually look calm, polite, charming, safe enough to trust. That's what made this story so horrifying. Because if one small thing had gone differently that night, I probably wouldn't be here telling it. My name is Cadence. A few years ago, I worked late-night shifts alone at a roadside bar outside town. It was the kind of place people stopped at during long drives. Truckers, travelers, lonely strangers who didn't want to go home yet. Most nights were quiet, music low, lights dim, same customers, same routine. And after midnight, I was usually alone. That's when he first appeared. It was around 1 a.m. The door opened, and this man walked in wearing a black turtleneck and dark coat. Everything about him looked expensive. Perfect posture, perfect haircut, perfect calmness. The kind of person who immediately controls the atmosphere of a room without trying. He sat at the bar and ordered whiskey without even looking at the menu. Then he started asking questions. Did I like working there? Did I ever want something bigger? Did I ever think about leaving town? At first it felt harmless. People talked to bartenders all the time. But then he asked what time my shift ended. Something inside me tightened immediately. I smiled politely and avoided the question. He stared at me for a second longer than normal. Then he placed a $100 bill on the counter and left without saying goodbye. That should have been the end of it. But a week later, he came back. This time, he wasn't alone. A woman walked in beside him, beautiful, elegant, perfect smile. The kind of smile that looks warm until you realize it never changes. The moment she sat down, she reached across the counter and touched my hand. "You're gorgeous," she said softly. The compliment felt strange immediately, too personal, too rehearsed. Then the question started. How old was I? Did I usually work alone? How long had I been there? The woman explained she organized exclusive private events. Then she casually offered me $10,000 for a weekend job. $10,000. Just like that. I laughed awkwardly. It sounds too good to be true. But she didn't laugh back. Instead, her smile stayed perfectly still. "Come outside for 1 minute," she said quietly. "There's someone who can explain it better." That was the exact moment my instincts started screaming. Every survival signal in my body suddenly activated at once. "No," I said, flatly, without smiling. For the first time, the woman looked disappointed. Not angry, just annoyed. Then suddenly a loud group of customers entered the bar, and the couple disappeared without another word. But something felt wrong after that, like they hadn't given up. A few nights later, after my shift ended, I noticed a dark vehicle parked across the street. Engine off, no lights, just sitting there. I drove home. The vehicle followed me. Every turn, every street, every stop sign. Not aggressively, carefully. That somehow made it worse. I could actually feel them trying not to scare me too early. My chest tightened harder with every mile. Finally, I pulled directly into the parking lot of a police station. The vehicle instantly sped away. At that point, I should have quit, but I needed the money, so I kept working. Big mistake. A week later, near closing time, the woman returned alone. Same elegant clothes. Same frozen smile. "Just checking on you," she said casually. I told her we were about to close. She asked for one cocktail. I decided I'd text my boss while making the drink. Just in case. I turned toward the liquor shelf. Then I heard something that instantly made my blood run cold. Click. The sound of the front door locking. I spun around. The woman was gone. Outside the window sat a black van, engine running. Then, bang. A violent crash exploded behind me. The back door? Someone was hitting it hard. Not random pounding, controlled, strategic, like they wanted to force me toward the front entrance, toward the van. That's when I understood. The woman wasn't the threat. She was the distraction. I grabbed a metal cocktail shaker and dialed 911 with shaking hands. The pounding got louder. Another hit, then another. The entire back wall rattled, and suddenly I realized something horrifying. They knew I was alone. They knew exactly how long police response would take. They had planned this. Then headlights flooded through the front windows. My boss had arrived unexpectedly. The pounding stopped instantly. Outside, the van peeled away so fast the tires screamed against the pavement. By the time police arrived, they were gone. But the security footage revealed everything, while the woman distracted me inside the bar. 2 masked men waited outside the front entrance. A third person circled behind the building. They weren't improvising, they had roles, a system, a plan. And according to police, I probably wasn't the first person they tried this on. The van was never identified. Nobody was arrested. And years later, one thing still terrifies me most. Not the masks, not the van, not even the pounding on the door. It's how calm they were, like they'd done it before. Many times.